The natural progression of relationships often involves older men and younger women. You can ask most women on the street, and almost 90% will tell you that they prefer dating an older man. However, if you ask any woman, you'll also find that many of them prefer dating an older man. Why is this? Well, we will explore today. But aside from this, another big question that men are dealing with can actually be learned from older men. Thanks to their experience in life, many of them have naturally figured out just how easy it can be to get a younger woman. There are a couple of easy signs that you can use, as we will discuss in this video, which should help every man quickly gain this experience. Why women choose older men. One of the most interesting dating phenomena is the fact that most women prefer an older man. In fact, older men have a much better chance of getting a woman when compared to their peers of similar age or even younger men. But through years of incredible evolution, we can find the answer to this. You see, women naturally gravitate toward men who tend to be ahead of them on the food chain. They often choose these men due to the fact that they seem more settled and experienced. If we break this down to the core basic principles of what women desire in a man, you'll often find that it boils down to three main principles. Women want a man who can provide, one who offers protection, and a man who's willing to profess his love as a way of keeping her natural insecurities in check. Since younger men are still trying to find themselves in life, it's much easier for these women to choose an older man who has already surpassed this phase in life. Another crucial element of attraction for younger women is the fact that these men are also much more consistent, and their mindsets gravitate more toward the future than trying to be the coolest kid in a pub. This future-driven mindset is ultimately what is powerful enough to make a woman fall in love. Ultimately, it boils down to having your life in order, if you want to be the most attractive person. Yes, being a wild card can easily get you some fun from women, but it almost always ends up in disappointment for both parties. This video focuses more on men who are looking for something sustainable. But since women have barely changed in the last few decades, we can use some of the tips from these older men as a way of figuring out which signs are the most important. Today, we'll focus on what younger women tend to do, which older men often perceive as signs, and push the relationship into a brand new dimension. Let's dive in. Number 1. You occupy a lot of her attention. One thing a man needs to realize is that the rise of social media has made the world much smaller. Nowadays, almost every woman on the planet has access to social media, where she can see and even talk to some of the most attractive men on the planet. Occasionally, they even slide into each other's DMs as well. This means that women don't need to wait for a man in any specific way. If he doesn't give her any attention, she can replace him with the click of a few buttons. As sad as this sounds, this is the way the world has gone and where it is. However, if a woman truly likes you, you'll automatically become the most important thing. You'll notice that you have access to tons of her attention. This can be in the form of quick responses via text messaging or even her reaching out first. You have to understand that unless you've been friends with her for years, she won't just talk to you. Naturally, this means that if she's talking to you, she has some interest, and you'll need to take note. Older men generally notice this extra level of attention, and it turns out that when they pursue this, and it turns out that this is what women want. On the other hand, younger men turn this into an ego thing, and they can easily mess up all the progress they've made. Number 2. Physically expressive. Now, women don't tend to be stoic at all. In fact, they are heavy emotional beings, and when you consider their perception, it's often from an emotional point of view. However, when it comes to being physically expressive, women rarely do this, and they'll want to focus more on the conversation between the two of you. However, when she's completely comfortable with you, there is a big chance she'll start touching you and even trying to be as close to you as possible. In fact, you can view this to be very similar to a magnet, and no matter where you place these opposite poles in a room, they naturally gravitate toward one another. So, this means that she'll be more than likely to naturally gravitate toward you and try to be as close to your physical presence as possible. Older men understand that physical expression from a woman is kind of rare, and once you do notice this happening, it becomes that much easier to spot if a woman likes you or not. Number 3. Goodbyes go on forever. One important thing about life is that when two people like each other, they will hate having to say goodbye. It is exactly for this reason that two people who say goodbye to each other take so much time before they actually part ways. What you'll notice is that whenever you tend to end the conversation or the situation, she'll linger around for much longer. This can be in physical form or via texting. Yes, you might say goodnight via a text message, and she'll respond by saying something that could push the conversation in another direction. The idea is to be in your presence for as long as possible, and older men often realize that this does hint towards attraction. In these situations, you should not succumb to her desires, but rather follow your instincts and continue to make her chase you. Number 4. The natural signs of attraction pops up. Instead of listing each of these on its own, we should also let you know that the natural signs of attraction, like twirling her hair, always smiling, and laughing at your jokes, are also commonplace when this happens. You see, younger women also need to have what they want immediately, and this means that they'll run through all of these triggers very quickly. Adding to this is the fact that she's younger could even make these things a little more intense as well. But the problem is that very few men actually know or understand these natural signs of attraction from a woman, and they tend to miss some of the cues that she'll often give them. If you're unsure about these signs, we've created a plethora of videos that directly focus on each sign and will give you more information on exactly how they do these things. You see, one video is not enough to cover everything in a single go, which means that you'll need to check out some of these videos to gain some more insight into some of the quirks that women often bring to the table when they like a guy. Number 5. She wants to know everything about you. You've probably heard about the differences between front-end game and back-end game. You see, the first one focuses on things like pickup lines and looking great. However, once you have her in your web after the front-end game is on point, you need to have some back-end game to keep the situation going. The back-end game focuses on what you bring to the table when everything is stripped away. But women don't really care about these things, and in many cases, you might not even hear them ask about your job or car anymore. However, if a woman seems interested in more than the common face value issues, it's one of the best signs of overall attraction. This means that she's actually finding you interesting enough that she's willing to make the effort to get to know more about you. Few things indicate attraction more than a woman who's willing to put in such effort. However, you also need to have your back-end game on point, and this is why older men are much more successful in relationships than younger guys. You see, the back-end game focuses on things like what you do for a living and where you're heading in life. The only reason she's curious about this is because she imagines herself being naturally integrated into this type of lifestyle. If she believes that it'll be something comfortable for her to slot into, it becomes that much easier for her to fall in love, and she'll continue to pursue you. So, if she starts nosing around about your personal life, you need to be truthful as much as possible and try to use your back-end game as a way of making the relationship stick. Number 6. Other men and women pop up in the conversation. If you've been an avid follower of this channel, you probably already know how passive-aggressive women tend to be. You see, it's much easier for a woman to rather be passive-aggressive than to risk being flat-out rejected by a man. One thing you'll find is that she might bring up older or even other men as a way of trying to gauge if you're jealous or how you would respond. But to put the icing on the cake, she'll also talk about other women as a way of seeing if you're still interested in other women. You see, she's still scared of dating, and this naturally means that she'll want to figure out how risky it'll be if she does decide to actually date you. When you're faced with these conversations, the important thing is to not be thrown off guard, and it's often better if you can be prepared for some of these situations. Should she talk about other men, you need to remain stoic and should not allow any of this to bring out emotion. When talking about other women, she's focusing on her own insecurities, and you'll need to make sure that she's comfortable enough to talk about these things to you. If she spots any hints of jealousy, it could lead to a somewhat fake relationship. Number 7. Compliments will rain down on you. Another interesting fact about the modern woman is that she'll not always compliment other men. In fact, women tend to skip this entirely since men automatically believe that a compliment from a woman means that she's attracted to him, and women want to avoid having to reject a guy for something like this. However, this means that when she does choose to compliment you, there's definitely something going on. Compliments now actually have meaning, so if she compliments you, It now means that she's naturally expecting some reciprocity from you. Older men have realized that compliments now mean something, and it doesn't always just come from meaningless flattery. So if you're on the receiving end of many compliments from a woman, it does clearly mean that she finds you attractive in some way or another. You should also respond with the same type of meaningful compliments to keep the flirting going. Number 8. She texts you meaningless things. If we dive a little deeper into texting, we'll realize that it's perhaps the easiest way to decipher how a woman is dividing her attention. You see, communication is critical, and when we break it down to the bare form, it is nothing more than an exchange of data and information with another person. Women also perceive conversations the same way, which is why they often ghost you when the conversation is stale, and they don't always talk to you. However, a woman who likes a man wants to talk to him, even if it's something meaningless or if he's just talking about himself. You're more likely to notice that she's sending you memes or even jokes, or she might just send you a picture of what she's naturally doing. This is an attempt from her to try to push you in a specific direction and to elicit responses from you. It's up to you if you want to entertain these meaningless conversations. But older men also know that even if she does change her pattern of texting or tends to deviate from her baseline actions, they can continue using this to establish further attraction. You see, contrary to what many experts in the field of dating are telling you, engaging in such funny and lighthearted banter will actually establish a deeper and more meaningful relationship. It actually shows her that the two of you have something fun and comfortable in common as well. Number 9. Her attention is all yours. One of the main reasons that society's struggling is due to the fact that attention spans have significantly decreased. You see, every person's looking for a very quick and easy spike of dopamine, and this is what actually hinders relationships in many unique situations. However, when two people like each other, many of the things happening around you easily turn into what's known as background noise, and it doesn't truly matter when it comes to it. So what you're bound to notice is that when she likes you, she is far less distracted in life, and she'll give you more of her undivided attention as well. This extra level of attraction that is often cultivated will ensure that you don't have to compete with other forms of entertainment that could satisfy your needs. Having her undivided attention means that even if the hottest guy on the planet walks into the room, she doesn't have any real need to talk to them. Having someone's undivided attention is one of the most powerful things you could have, and when you think about many applications you might own, you'll find that many of them are designed to grab as much of your attention as possible. So when it comes to women, it'll be great if you can ensure that you have all the attention she has to offer. Number 10. Intimate flirting. Finally, we come to the most powerful of all the techniques, and this is when she flirts with you. You see, flirting is something reserved for only the people she can truly like, and she won't just flirt with any guy she meets. So, if a woman is flirting with you naturally, it means that she's definitely attracted to you in some way, shape, or form. This flirting will be extremely powerful in a sense, and if you also flirt back, it will drive the relationship into uncharted territories. You see, older men have more experience with women, and you'll naturally grow into this level of experience as you age and get more experience in dating. However, you can check out some of our other videos, and this should give you an even better idea of how you can get this experience sooner.